If you're new to the project, a big warm welcome. If you're a tough old root, then welcome back. In today's video, we're going to give this Coleman CT200U the maximum amount of torque with the help of Small Engine Warehouse. One of the great things about these bikes is they're so prolific that the parts are incredibly cheap. So the first thing that we did was change the throttle, put a new brake on it, and obviously get rid of that old engine. Here on Sleep in the Woods, we love projects. If you have the ability to fix stuff, then here's a tip. Only ever buy broken stuff and pocket that savings for yourself. Now, we purchased this. This was one of two that we purchased at the same time. The other one is actually a Murray Track 2, and it'll be one of our next projects. And I immediately knew when I looked at this bike, it was a failed dreams bike. Because it was in incredible shape to be from 2016. The tires still have nipples on them. However, they had put a much larger engine on it and it straight lined the whole drivetrain system. They got rid of that jack shaft and just put a clutch, and it went straight to the back wheel. I'm assuming in the hopes of making it really, really fast. But apparently it did not work because it has spent most of its life in a shed and then eventually got passed on to us here. So this is actually, this current setup is Mach 2. The first thing that I did was get a Predator 212, and I purchased a jack shaft kit, and I put that on it. And really, one of the huge points of this entire build was for me to give it as much torque, obviously, but also combine that with a lower speed, and that jack shaft just did not provide what I was looking for. Now, one of the main negative features of that setup wasn't necessarily that, but it was the engine itself. It had such an unbalanced crankshaft that I rode it once and my elbows were sore for like 3 days. So that sucker, it had to go. At which point, Small Engine Warehouse stepped in and sent us an incredible engine.
That's too fast.
Here here we have our Kohler Pro 5.5 engine sent courtesy of Small Engine Warehouse. Link below. I would encourage you to pick up your own for your next build. All we had to do was change the gas tank on it, but you're going to have to do that to any engine you're looking to put on a Coleman CT200U. And now it's ready to be installed. But first we need our riser plate. So right here is the riser plate that I have chosen. Not only was it cheap, it was only 20 bucks, link below, but it offers a lot more for your money than just being able to install a torque converter on your bike. How this works is by raising your engine up 1 inch and pushing it forwards 1 inch, and both of those are really useful here on Steep in the Woods Mountain. By raising it up, we can go in slightly deeper water, and by pushing it forward, we are a little bit less likely to flip over when climbing hills. Now the only thing we're going to do differently is I got some large rubber washers, and I'm going to place those under the plate as well as under the bike, and that will help dampen any vibration we're getting off of our Kohler Pro. Now that our engine is installed, we can bolt on our torque converter. This is a Series 30 torque converter, but it's not your average one. This one has been heavily modified for mountain living. The very first thing we're going to do is replace the 10-tooth sprocket on this Series 30 torque converter with a 9-tooth sprocket, giving us a little bit more torque and a little less top end. We're also going to be replacing the 6-inch driven pulley with a much larger 7-inch driven pulley. But we're not going to stop there. We're also going to replace the driven pulley spring with a yellow one, which has a lot more spring tension, as well as setting the torque setting on hole number 3, all of which is designed to give us the most torque possible and the lowest top end. And that's how I modified this Series 30 torque converter for our needs here. I wanted maximum torque, but also low top speed, as low as I could get. It doesn't matter if you're in a car, a four-wheeler, or a bike. On our mountain property, you go over 10 miles an hour, you will die. So we wanted to make that as difficult as possible, especially on a two-wheeled vehicle. Two things about this upgraded torque converter. Number one, you're going to need a larger belt if you go with the 7-inch driven pulley. There will be a link below. The other thing is, when you go to put your clutch plate on, you're going to think there ain't no way in the world that this amount of shaft can hold this front plate on, but it does. Somehow it does. When the whole thing is bolted together, it works. Apparently no one's ever had a major issue with it. Now thankfully, this is hardened steel right here. Even the smallest amount of keyway connection is going to be a ton of force, because that is really, really good metal, and presumably so is this. So either way, don't worry about that either. As for covering up this modified Series 30 torque converter, we're going to go really, really low tech with it. The cover that comes with it will not fit with a 7-inch drive pulley. So what we're going to do is simply take out our pocket knife, and we're going to modify it to where it will fit with the much larger 7-inch driven pulley. So that's how we set this bike up for just the absolute tippity topmost tip amount of torque possible. And it wouldn't have been possible without Small Engine Warehouse. They absolutely saved the project on this deal. But now that we have everything set up, we can finally go for a ride and see how it works. Well, I was very impressed with this setup. I love the fact that it's got plenty of power, but it's also really, really slow. This thing will absolutely climb mountains. Now, this in its entirety is actually only half of the whole project. From here, there are quite a few modifications I want to make. Primarily, I need a front brake, right? So we've given it all the power to climb mountains. Now we need all the power to stop when we're going down them. But either way, stay tuned for that. And by all means, check out Small Engine Warehouse. They got some incredible fast shipping and incredible engines. And as always, if you liked what you saw, hit that button. If you're new to the project, hit that other button. If you help support the project, the link's below. If you want a private consultation or you have a question you want a dedicated video on, email us directly. And until next time, Steve in the Woods. All right, do it again.
Do it again, but next time, try to like shake your hair out.
I don't know how to do it. I'm not a woman. Still in the right.